Joining us, everybody. It's greatly appreciated to explore this very critical element of accessing talent and those persons who will self-identify as a person with a disability offers us a great opportunity to tap into the talent that our employers are looking for. And we want to recognize that there's great support mechanisms that are available through your local Chamber of Commerce, but also provided to us in partnership with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to welcome Lisa Kelly from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce to help us walk through some of those assets that really can benefit us as a community and benefit you in your roles and benefit you if you're a student. And then also Sophia is also joining us as well, and she'll help us walk through some of these tools also. Just so you're aware, we are recording today's session so that we can distribute it. You will be able to receive a copy as well. Just reach out to us, and Don will have that eventually set up on a YouTube for you to review as well. If you want, you may use the chat box to put any questions. Don, myself, and Bob will monitor those. And we're a fairly small group too, so I'm sure if Lisa and Sophie are amenable to it, just unmute yourselves and feel free to ask that question. So thank you very much, everybody. Greatly appreciate it. And I turn that over to Lisa. And yes, I see a note here to turn on the captions, and I will do my best to do that.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much for that welcome, Rory and Don. It's great to have Sophia with me. My name is Lisa Kelly. Can't even get that right. We're going to have a rough start. And I'm with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a programs manager. This is my third training of the day, so, cross your fingers and appreciate anybody who's smiling at me. Thank you, the few that I could see. Sophia, would you like to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining in today. We have a great turnout. As Lisa mentioned, I am Sophia Dritzis. I work with Lisa. I'm a programs manager as well, and I'm excited to show you all a demo on how to use our site today.
So before Sophia gets to that, I'm going to actually take you through just some slides to introduce you to the program. Can everyone see my screen today? Rory or Dawn, if you cannot. Okay, Sophia, thank you. All right. So we're going to take you through some just screenshots because it's easier. Sophia will move through a live demo as well. But I think it's just as important as knowing how to sign on to our network is why you should sign on to our network. So I'm going to start with that. Then Sophia's going to walk you through the how to do it. So both Sophia and I have the good fortune to work with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. We represent 135 local chambers of commerce and boards of trade across the province, of which Sault Ste. Marie is one. And, we connect to the businesses that they represent. We created the Discoverability Network, whose logo you'll see on the lower left-hand side of the screen, to connect talent with a disability to inclusive employers. So, like I said, Sophia, myself, we'll be providing you with a copy of this deck when we're done. And Dawn can also share out our contact information. And Sophia, if you could type into the chat both my name and my email and your name and the email, so there's multiple ways for people to access that information. Okay, so what is the Discoverability Network? Well, we think it's pretty exciting. It's grown into 3 pillars of our platform. The first is a job matching platform. And we created that at the kind of to address labor market challenges that business was telling us they were facing. Lack of talent to work in the jobs that they have. So it was inhibiting productivity and potential growth. So we thought there's this underrepresented demographic called people with disabilities. Why don't we connect them to business to meet workforce needs? The platform is available to both businesses, employment service providers, and job seekers. So everybody can get some benefit out of it. It's free for use for everybody. So I'm pleased to, say that. Almost 100% of the people that use our system have a disability. The employers that advertise on our system are aware of that. So one of the first things, if you're a job seeker or if you're an employment service provider, that I'm going to encourage you to do is encourage the people that you work with, or as a job seeker yourself, to self-disclose as a person with a disability. At no time will we ask you what that disability is. We just want to make sure that you self-identify. So when business selects a key which says, I'm looking for people with disabilities to hire, you get the job invitations, because our job platform is not searchable. Meaning it's not like a typical job board like an Indeed, where you go on, you look through all the jobs and decide which ones you apply to. You're matched based on the information that you enter. One of those pieces of information is whether or not you have a disability. And Sophia will take you through some of the other things that match. The second thing we do is we offer free training. So this morning, I had the pleasure to be on with another one of our chambers talking about disclosure and accommodations and how to encourage that within their workplaces. Because, employers can thrive when they give people the tools they need to do a good job. But on the other hand, I also train people with disabilities about why disclosure is important and how to do that. So we can also provide training with employment service providers that tackle that issue a little bit from each perspective. So we offer free training for job seekers every Thursday at 1:00 on a rotating series of topics. We offer training on demand with employment service providers, and we offer training on demand with businesses. And even if you're a job seeker group, we had Queen's University approach us and we did a Queen's University event for them. So happy to work with whatever groups are out there, all free of charge. Finally, we have networking events that connect employers directly to job seekers. And what we're trying to do is build disability confidence amongst all the groups. So for employers, it might be talking about themselves, some of the accommodations they provide, what jobs they have available. Talking to a wide range of people with differences so that they get comfortable. For job seekers, if you have a disability, I have a disability myself, it might be learning to speak about your skills and abilities and speak about those with an employer who's looking for candidates. So it helps everybody get more comfortable with the entire process of job search. Okay, the benefits. Why do you want to use this? It's free. That's I wish I could put that last, and that was the least important and compelling selling feature, but it is free. Second thing is, and I really like this. So I've been a discoverability user for about 4 years, I think now. It allows you to put up your profile, your skills, your experiences, your interests. It captures, if you've only received a couple of years of education, it still captures that and accounts for it. You can also add a portfolio, and most importantly, you don't have to update a resume for each job, tailor it to each job, because the system's doing the matching in the background. So think of it like a LinkedIn for people with disabilities. So once you set up that profile, you just continue to add to it over time. So it does take a bit of time to set up a profile. Sophia's going to show you how to do that, but once it's up there, you just are adding. I really highly encourage you to opt into the diversity filter. So when you use our system runs on the Magnet system. And Magnet has a number of different communities on it, one of which is us, one of which is Align. There's a few different ones. But in our system, you want to use the diversity filter, which is where you self-declare that you have a disability. Again, not what it is, and we'll tell you how that information is used as we go on. But without doing that, you won't get connected to employers who are specifically looking for candidates who have a disability. So it's really important that if you're going to participate, join our community, we'd love to have you, that you self-identify. In the first few years I was on the system, I didn't, because I wondered what people were going to do with that information. This is before we started offering training, and it's before I worked with the OCC. And I got a lot of strange job ads, because what happens is you get access to all the jobs on the Magnet system as well as I was not getting any jobs on the discoverability system because those are sent to people who have a disability. So really understand and why we're using that feature, and I really encourage you to sign up. On our website, we also have tools and resources. You know, you can sign up for our newsletter. We'll let you know when things are coming up, when other people create new tools and share those out. Again, networking opportunities and access to free training. So about Magnet, that's this little red symbol you'll see on our website. It's a not-for-profit digital social innovation platform, and discoverability is part of the Magnet system. So you will see that M. That's fine. You can use the same password and username if you already have a Magnet account. If you don't, you just create a new one on our system, but you need to sign in through our portal, which I'll show you. Any questions before I go on, because I want that to be really clear to people. So you will get access to the 20,000 plus employers that are on the Magnet system when you sign in through discoverability, but you'll also get access directly to employers who are looking to recruit people with disabilities into their business. No questions? Okay, how does it work? So this is an overall how it works. You sign on as a job seeker or you sign on as an employer. For any of you who are employment service providers, reach out separately. That's a different workshop, and Sophia and I can take you through that. Sophia more particularly than me. But for the job seekers today, you would create a profile that's used to showcase your skills and qualifications. What's great about this is, for instance, in my original field that I trained after I went back to school, I trained as a career counselor. And almost all career counselors require driver's license, but I didn't have that on my resume. So I might not show up as having a really valuable skill that I needed. And if I didn't customize my resume for, jobs that said you require a driver's license, I wouldn't get shortlisted for them. On our system, that's always sitting there. I put in the driver's license that I have and it matches automatically. If it's not relevant, that's okay. But you don't have to go in and change that piece of paper each time. So we're going to ask you about your certifications, your licenses, your education. Again, you can put that you're partway through, that you've completed grade 9, that you completed a PhD. We don't really care. It's going to just match you to appropriate jobs. You also add your skills lists and the industries that you're interested in. You're going to tell us about your job preferences. What area of the province do you want to work in? What part-time, contract, full-time? What kind of jobs are you looking for? Once you've done that, the system matches you because the employer has also created a profile where they've asked, here's what we want. And because they're drawing from a matching set of data, you don't have to worry about using the exact same language because you're both picking from the same pool of skills and abilities. So you've set your preferences, you've created your profile. When there's a match, you get notified. So at this point, just the system knows that you're matched. You don't know it, the employer doesn't know it. It tells you first, there's a match. You can go on and look at that match, review who's invited you to apply for a job. Okay, you don't have to accept. If you don't accept, that employer will never know that you were matched. But if you do see a job you're interested in, you can apply to that and your profile remains private up until the time you apply. So the fact that you're on our system and that you self-disclose with a disability is not apparent to anybody until you actually apply to a job where the employer is looking for a candidate with a disability. Now, let's say you get matched to one of those magnet jobs that I was talking about earlier. At that point, they will never know that you have a disability. That information is not shared for employers who are not posting through our system, but you still get matched to the jobs. So you decide, you apply, the information gets sent to the employer. If they're interested after looking at your profile, you receive a notification. You guys connect on system or through email, and it just goes through the regular recruitment process. Any questions on the overview of how it works? Okay, so where do you go? www.discoverability.network. And you're going to select job seeker. And then for those of you today, you'd sign up through Sault Ste. Marie that you see here. And that will direct you to Sault Ste. Marie's own portal with local employers and local opportunities. You'll still get access to wherever you want to work. That's just to let you know about events and opportunities that are going on through the Sault. You press enter then. Once you do that, you're going to come to this landing page. And on this landing page, you have a couple of options. You could learn more about why businesses are interested in hiring candidates with disabilities. You could access resources like tip sheets on disclosure, or you can sign up and find jobs by clicking this bright yellow button on the upper right-hand corner to sign up, sign in to access your profile and search for jobs. So look for the bright yellow. If you're a new user, you will encounter this screen, in which case you can sign up through your social media. You can log in if you already have an account, or like I said, you create an account, okay? Not going to walk you through that, but once you've signed in the first time, you don't have to sign in again. And again, you can use your magnet, or if you're on a line, the same username and which is your email, and the same password. You'll come to a series of screens that will walk you through. They're very simple. You'll see this. It says, welcome to the discoverability community on Magnet. We invite you to embark on your journey and connect to employers. And it's going to tell you step by step what you need to do. So you just follow the instructions. Eventually, when you've gone through entering some very basic information, it will bring you to this screen. This doesn't mean you're done. Don't stop. You've got an account, but you don't have a complete profile. So you need to edit your profile by filling in all the fields. And when you do that by going up to, it'll be a blank silhouette of a person. Again, Sophia will show you that. This drop-down menu will appear and you select My Profile. And then you're simply going to scroll down through all the areas and fill out as much as you can. What else is on this page? Well, notifications. So you can see when I did this screen grab, I had 3 unread job invites. That's great. I hope all of you sign up and you also have 3 unread job invites. I can track my applications. I can see where there's additional opportunities because maybe I was only looking for full-time work, but there's a contract position, and this will say, yeah, you may want to consider this just in case. So it's like a backup to a backup. Upcoming events. This tells me that my profile should be updated, and it's telling me what fields should be updated. Now on mine, it's always going to have one incomplete because I do not have any certifications. So that's why that's always there. So that's fine. There's also messaging from Discoverability, from Align, from Magnet, from some of our employment partners when there's job opportunities. And finally, you can follow our social media feed. You will, and this is the most important thing, I really, really encourage you to go click on your icon or the silhouette that appears and go to self-declaration, okay? Your information is protected. It will only be used to match you to employers using the targeted diversity filter. That's the only way we're using this. We're not sharing it in any other way. You can select to receive additional information on different disabilities if you're interested. So for me, I was interested at this time in physical and mental health issues, but I could also be interested in sensory, neurological. I think right now I have them all selected. You can self-identify along all the different equity groups. For myself, that's a person with a disability and a woman. There's other options to select from. To find your jobs, you go beside the silhouette is a little cube with 9 squares in it. You select that and up come all the job options. So you can search by job. You can also search by change your job preferences, look at who you've been invited, follow up on who you've applied to. Okay, so lots of options. If you select the job invites, which I've done here, midway on the left-hand side button bar, you can see that there were 4 opportunities, 2 are open, 2 are closed, and you can actually click on these to learn more about the jobs before you decide whether or not you want to apply. To learn more, you can contact Boyan Mitrovic. He'll give you one-to-one support on signing up. You can follow us on social media. I very much hope you do so. And now I'm going to stop screen sharing and let Sophia take you through a live walkthrough. Before we do that, any questions? No? Okay. Sophia, over to you.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Lisa. I'm just going to share my screen now so that you can see everything here. All right. So can you see my screen now?
We can see a white screen.
You don't see my discoverability here?
No.
Okay, give me 1 second. Not sure what this is. Can you see it now?
No, it's unshared and we have the full view. Yep, started screen sharing. Let's see. Yes, we are there, Sophia. I'm going to turn off my microphone.
All right, perfect. Okay, so as Lisa mentioned, she showed you some screenshots on where you'd go when you are going to go to discoverability. So you're going to go to discoverability.network, and as she said, you're going to click I'm a job seeker. You're going to choose your region. If your region is not here, then you would select Ontario, but as Lisa mentioned, for the most part, you're going to select Sault Ste. Marie, and then you can just click enter now. And I just want to show you something that comes up on the next page here. When you click find job opportunity, so that yellow button at the top right, so it's going to tell you like, where did you hear about us from? And you can just select the applicable option here. So I'll just say discoverability Sault Ste. Marie. And then what's going to come up here is your sign-in information, as Lisa showed you. So if you already have your account with Magnet, you're going to simply enter the same thing in. If you don't, you click create an account. You're going to join as, and then you select from the drop-down menu, job seeker, and you're going to fill in all of the required fields. So your name, last name, your email, you're going to confirm your email, set up a password, and you're just going to click sign up. Once you click sign up, then what's going to happen is you're going to get an email from Magnet, and it's going to ask you to basically activate your account. You have to do that part in order to actually start setting up your profile. So I'm going to show you now what happens once you do that. So I'm going to enter our demo site now. So I'm just going to close this. Oops. And can you see the demo now? Okay. So now this is the demo, and this is what's going to happen once you get into your, when you activate that email. So it just says, we invite you to embark on your career journey with us, connect to opportunities with employers looking to hire top talent. So you're going to click next, and it says the first step is to start personalizing your profile. So we're going to click next, and then it's going to allow us to enter in some basic information. So this is just demo site. So on this demo site, I'm John Doe. My email has been populated from the first set of information that I entered on the first screen that I showed you. And then I'm going to enter my postal code and my location. So I'm just going to say Toronto. And I'm going to enter Toronto. I'm going to select the languages here. So I'm just going to say English. So that you can select all the languages that you have a working knowledge in. So if I know French as well, I'll put French here too. And then select the countries that you're eligible to work in. So I'm just going to say Canada.
And I would say, Sophia, the two things you should definitely enter are English and Canada. So don't sign up for the system if you're not eligible to work in Canada.
Exactly.
And even if you just have working knowledge, which doesn't mean you're fluent, but you have working knowledge, please select English. So if you're on this webinar, you have a working knowledge of English, so feel free to sign up as such.
And then you're just going to click save and continue. And now we get to either upload our resume or create a profile. So you can either upload, if you have a Word doc or a PDF resume, you can upload that or create your resume. So for our example here, I'm just going to upload a resume that I have, and I'll show you what we do next. So I'm going to say next.
And Sophia, it's probably faster to do the resume route, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
But it doesn't collect all of your information. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I'm going to show you what exactly you're going to need to fill in now. Because as you're doing this, you might think at one point that you're done, but you're actually not done. So I'm going to show you everything that you need to do in order to make sure your profile is full and complete. So here it says education and work experience, and it says complete a work experience or an education record to start getting matched to job opportunities. So we can only do one at a time. So I'm just going to start with education, and then I'll show you what I mean when I say we're going to have to go back and do the work experience record. So I'm just going to click education, and what happened is it pre-populated some things from my resume. So it took out my Centennial College, my certificate, but it didn't put in my faculty or my main focus area. So I'm going to enter that in. So I can click this drop down, and it's a huge list, but I'm not going to go through this entire list because it's so long and I don't want to sit there and start scrolling through that. So I'm just going to start typing and see if anything comes up. So I was a personal support worker on my resume. So as I started typing, it came up right here. So healthcare practitioners and technologies, personal support worker. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to enter a start date. If you're still in school, you could just check off, I'm currently a student, and that it will gray out the end date. And then you would just put like when you started.
And
So,
Sophia, what if it's not exactly like, what if at my college or university, personal support worker is under a different faculty?
you're going to just put in the option that closely matches, that best matches what's on your resume. So it may not be like an exact match. You just want to make it to select something that matches it best.
Thank you.
So I'm going to select the start date here. So on my resume, I would have started, I believe it was in 2019. So I'm just going to select that here, and I'm going to say September, and I'll have ended in 2020 of June. So I'm just going to say save and continue. And now it brings up job preferences. So this is what Lisa was talking about before. You can control the kind of positions that you're matched to based on specifying like the types of roles you're looking for. So either like entry level, mid-level, senior level. You can even put manager, first level. So there's a bunch of different options. It had saved these other ones here from a previous demo. So I'll just leave those ones in there, and then go on to the next preference here. So it says, what type of jobs are you looking for? So you can either select all if that's what you're looking for, or you can just choose the ones that best match the what you're interested in. So I'm going to say permanent full-time, permanent part-time, temporary full-time, temporary part-time, and I'll even say contract here, and I'll say I'm even interested in volunteer. So you can select all of that. Then you can select your preferred field of work. So this is again things like, so I've already have some options here. So clerical and administrative, education, government and public administration, health services. And then you can see from the list, there's a lot of different other preferred fields of work. So you just enter what you're most interested in, and then you go on to the next one.
What if you're not sure about your field of work?
If you're not sure about your field of work, you could ask your career services office within your school, or a career counselor, and they can help you with that to identify what your field of work is. And then you would select your preferred skilled trade. Now, this might not be applicable to everyone because you might not be in a skilled trade. So a skilled trade is something like an automotive services technician, or like a plumber, and you'd enter that here. So if it's not applicable to you, just leave that blank. And then the next one is, where would you like to work? So you're going to put in like the locations that you're willing to travel to. So you can just literally start typing in location. So I'm going to say Toronto, and I can indicate how like the kilometers. So I would say, okay, within 55 kilometers of the city center. So, and now we'll add that location. Then I can enter, let's just say Sault Marie, and do the same thing, and just kind of put in all the locations that I would be willing to travel to so that I could potentially get matched to those roles. And you can add however many locations you want to add. The last thing on here is community preferences. So as Lisa mentioned, Discoverability Network is a community within Magnet. So there's a lot of other different communities on Magnet. So you want to make sure you just keep this on this option. It says send me invitations directed at any community. Because if you click only send me invitations directed at the following communities, and you just like pick one community, like the Discoverability Network, it means you're only going to get matches just from that one community. So you want to be able to receive job invites from all the communities. So you're just going to leave it on that option and then just go to save and continue. So now it says, great, John, you completed your profile, but I didn't actually complete it yet. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So when I click get started, it's going to take me to that dashboard or homepage that Lisa shared in her screen. And as you could see, like she showed you like the notifications section where you would have your unread job invites, your applications, and any unread job invites. But what I want to show you is what we actually have to do is we have to click our profile in order to go back in there now and edit it. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to move that here. If I click the icon here, the face, and that's where Lisa had her picture, I'll show you how to do that later. So when you just click that, you just go to my profile. And then if you see on the right column, it says 3 more recommended fields. It's telling me that I didn't like complete this. So it's telling me that high school academic, experience youth group volunteer, and experience cooperative education caregiver. I have to do something with these. So I'm not sure what it's talking about. I'm going to go and see what it means. So I'm going to just go in order here. So I'm going to go to education, and I'm going to click the pencil here, the edit button, to go in and see what it's talking about. So I could see that it took, my Ontario secondary school. It says I'm a graduate. It's asking me now to complete, when did I start this diploma? Now, this isn't a required field. It's just a recommended. So I'll say this was high school. So I would have completed this, let's say in 2015. So I'm just going to add that there. And then I'm going to click save. And now that we are back to my profile page, it says 2 more recommended fields on the column in the right. So it's kind of updating them as we go along. So let me go to the next one. So the next one is the experience. So it's youth group volunteer. And again, it took this information from the resume that I uploaded into the system. So now it's saying the immigration center is the employer name, job title was youth group volunteer, but it's asking me, what industry did you work in? So again, this is recommended. It's not a required field, it's just recommended. So I'm going to put the industry that I worked in here. So because I was a youth group volunteer, I'm going to say this was, I'm going to just start typing to see what comes up. So it's some community service type of role. So I'm going to select this one. I think this is the best match, social services and social assistance. And then it's saying, what were your job duties in this position? So when I click this, there's a very big long list of options that I can select. And it brings up these options. It ties them to the industry that I selected. So if there's multiple, like, let's say, if there's multiple options you want to choose, you can do that. So I'm going to say administration, I would have used in this role. Client relations, anything that I did in that role, I'm going to make sure I select it so that I have like enough detail in my profile, so that it's going to help me in terms of getting matched. So again, you're just going to go through those lists and select everything that would be applicable. And once you're done doing that, you're just going to click save. And then you'll see now when we get to the next screen, it's going to say on the right side in that column, one more recommended field. So I only have one more thing to do, or at least it's telling me I have one more thing to do. So I'm going to go to the cooperative education, click the edit button, and see what I need to do here as well. So again, it's asking me what industry did I work in. So this was a co-op caregiver. So I'm just going to start typing in to see what my options are when I put in education. And I'm going to pick the one that is most applicable to my industry. So I'm just going to say this one here, education, primary and secondary schools, academic departments and programs. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. So what were my job duties in this position? And I'm going to enter all the applicable duties that I did in this role. So I would have done some administration, maybe I would have done some extracurricular activities, student academic advisory support, and so on. I'm just going to pick everything that I did in that role. And again, I'm going to click save. So now, as you can see, that column on the right-hand side has disappeared. So it looks like I did everything, but it didn't actually do everything yet. So I've completed the work experience information here that it told me to do in the education, but I didn't, there's actually a few other sections. So as Lisa was mentioning, certifications and licenses. This is where I'm going to go now, and I'm going to make sure I add in all the certifications and licenses that I have that may be required for certain roles that I applied to. So this is where you might want to enter, as Lisa mentioned, your driver's license. So I can add that here. I can add in any type of license that I have. So I'm just thinking of some. So say I have my certificate in advanced mutual funds advice from the Canadian Securities course. I'm going to put that there too. So whatever licenses I have, I'm going to put them there, and I'm going to click save. So now that will have saved under here. So if my profile, whatever certifications or licenses I would have entered, if a job requires one of those, I could potentially get matched to that because now it's in my profile. The next thing I want to do is add my skills and qualities. So skills and qualities, what are these? So it says enter any skills that you learned on the job in an educational program through continuing education courses or independently developed at your own initiative. So if I click in here, again, this list is very, very long. There's a ton of different options that I can choose. So I could just start typing and see what comes up. Okay, so I put in communication. So I want to say I have communication skills. I have business analysis, administration, maybe I have administrative law, and so on. This list, you want to make sure you add as much detail as possible to this list. Make this skills list very, very long because you want to capture all of your skills. And then you can add your qualities. So qualities are things like attention to detail, creative, customer-oriented, drive, effective communications, and so on. So you want to add in all of those as well. And then you click save. And so now when we scroll down, we can see it saved all of our skills and qualities as well. And so when you're doing your profile, it's most likely going to be a lot more, the options that you're putting in here may be a lot longer. I'm just doing this for our demo purposes. I'm selecting a few here just to show you how to do it, but you want to make sure yours is, you include everything and it's as detailed as possible, because the more information you have in your profile, the better chance you have at getting matched to job opportunities. So after I've done all of that, the last thing I would probably say that you'd want to do is maybe just go into your, where it shows the picture. You can just edit here and you can select a profile picture. I know some people don't really like to put a profile picture, but we do recommend to put a profile picture, or if you don't want to put your picture, you can put in, you know, an image maybe that relates to your interests, and then kind of capture that, because it just helps to make the profile look more complete. And then once you do that, you can, if you need to make any changes, let's say to your languages, let's say you added another language under your belt, you can always go in there and make that update. So, and then you would click save. And so now my profile, that's me, John Doe, and I have all my information complete here. Let's say you didn't complete your self-declaration. As Lisa mentioned, you can go and do that here. So if I click self-declaration, it says, and I always like to read this out so that you understand exactly what it's telling you here. So it says, please select the groups you identify with from the drop-down list. If you do not identify with any of the listed groups, or you do not want to self-declare your eligibility under any of the listed groups, please select none or prefer not to declare. Information about self-declared status is used by some employers to reach out specifically to potential candidates in disadvantaged groups. Employers will search for self-declared candidates in order to promote diversity within their organizations. They do that because it creates a more innovative and inclusive workplace, which ultimately leads to better outcomes for all involved. Opportunities for candidates who have self-declared are marked as diversity target posting. So your self-declaration will be visible only when you apply for positions that request applicants from a diversity target group that you identify with. And in each case, you will be asked for your consent to disclose. Your self-declarations will not be disclosed to employers when you're applying to jobs that are not marked as diversity target postings. And then it says your self-declarations will be stored only in your account and will not appear on your profile. So it's very important to know that, because a lot of people sometimes think that once they self-identify, it's going to be shown on their profile, and it's not. It's only when you're applying to the job that's actually marked as a diversity target like posting. And then the last, and so this is where you can go and select which groups you belong to. So you can either say none or prefer to not declare, Indigenous peoples, LGBTQ, members of a visible minority, persons with disabilities, and women. So you can select all that apply. And the last part here is what Lisa had shown you before on her screen share. It says select the disability topics you would like to opt into. Now this has nothing to do with like the job you're applying to or anything like that. This is just for your own knowledge. If you want to receive any type of additional information on these topics, you can select whichever ones you're interested in, or not select any at all if you don't want to. And then you would just click save. And then I'm going to go back to the home page because I want to point out something as well that Lisa showed you earlier. So on my site here, because I'm in the demo site, it doesn't show me, but there under notifications, there was a box under Lisa's screen share that said it wasn't called job preferences. It was called, what was it called, Lisa? That box that was underneath your notifications? It's basically tied to the job preferences. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Additional opportunities?
Yes, yeah. So that box is very important because it's tied to the job preferences. So remember when I was saying like you can set your job preferences and you can indicate whether you're interested in like full-time, part-time, you know, the locations, all of that. If you, based on your job preferences, if you filtered out any opportunities, it's going to show them in that box. And it's going to say, hey, you know, you missed out on these like 20 job opportunities because of the filters you entered in your job preferences. Do you want to look at them? It's going to say. And if you go look at them and you decide, oh, you know what, I really like this job, I think I want to apply to it, it's going to allow you to go back and then edit your job preferences. So just make sure to always keep an eye on on that, because you may miss out on some opportunities that you might really be interested in and you may not have seen just because of your job preferences that you've set. So just wanted to point that out, because it is like a newer feature on the site, and some people may not be too familiar with that, with what that is all about. So yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to kind of point out there. And then other than that, Lisa kind of went over everything else. This is where you're just going to get information about like from the other communities and from our social media tweets and from Magnet. But other than that, once you go into your profile, as long as you go and you complete all those steps and you make sure you do everything in order there, it'll take you about maybe like 40 to 45 minutes to make sure your profile is fully complete. But you want to make sure you're doing that so that you are getting the most matches as possible. And then after that, you want to just make sure you're always going in to check on your invites. If you have new skills or certifications or licenses to add, just make sure you're always updating your profile. So those are the main things. I think like this is just another really great tool for you all to be aware of and to really assist you in your job search. So I really hope that you found this to be useful or helpful. And I guess if you have any questions at this time, we'd be more than happy to take them. And unless, Lisa, there was something else you wanted to cover.
Let's go off share. And I've been answering some questions that came up in the chat, Sophia. Okay. So I have been dealing with those as they came up. So regarding, do we know how many employers in our area? So the first thing is we do have some remote jobs. So keep that in mind too. So a lot of the positions we're seeing this year are actually remote. So you would qualify for that. And I think that's going to be a trend towards. Sometimes employers will advertise on the local Sault Ste. Marie board, and sometimes we highlight them. As well, if we have any local service providers who have access to a job board, say they put a lot of candidates on, they can post local employers. But other than that, I do not believe you will know. Is that right? Because it's a not searchable system, because we don't want people learning about your privacy and the fact that you've disclosed as having a disability. Sophia, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The only thing, I mean, there is a newer feature now where when you go to the discoverability like login page, there is like a job search tool that you can search the jobs. But like Lisa was saying, the employers that are connecting with us, they are specifically looking to hire candidates with disabilities, and their postings are being put out as diversity target postings. So you're not actually going to find those postings. Yeah. They're exclusive job invites that you'll only get if you self-identify, and then you're matched if you have the skills for that particular job and you're matched to it. So if you were to go and look at it, you'll only really see a few job postings that come up in that search field.
So, and we've only got a few more minutes, but I also want to, this is kind of my plea to everybody, that whether you're an employer, an employment service provider, or a job search. So we've had our system for about 5 years. When we first started the system, it was my understanding that we had a lot of employers because they loved the idea. And Sophia and I work particularly with the employers, and they really love the idea of it being one board. But we didn't have a lot of job seekers with a disability because of people being concerned about, how are you using my information? I don't want to disclose as having a disability. I don't think employers really want to hire people. All those kind of, stereotypes that we've taken and embedded. So it's really been an effort to try to get, I actually have more jobs and more employers than I have candidates. I've asked my employers to give me at least a year's leeway of grace while they advertise, because employers aren't going to continue to use a job board if there's no candidates on it. But then if I get all my candidates signing up after all of my employers have left, then I get the candidates saying, but there's no employers in the area. So I'm trying to be really honest with everybody. I need you all to kind of take a leap of faith with me. Sign up. It can't hurt. It's up there, it's done. It's not like you're doing a resume every week. It allows me to then go out to employers and say, yeah, we have this many people in your area that are looking for jobs, so you should be posting on our system. And that's proven to be very effective. So for instance, we managed to bring an employer on just a couple weeks ago, and they hired 9 people off a webinar that we gave to talk to some of, we put it out through the system. We're having a webinar, come and meet this employer. And they actually ended up remote positions at $30 an hour. These are good jobs, good employers. So there will be opportunities there. But just like any job board, I don't know how many of you have ever used job boards if you're job searchers. It's not like you get a job invite from Indeed every week or LinkedIn every week. So it'll be the same with us. Sometimes there'll be a job there. It's one tool that you have in your arsenal. What's great about it is it's a tool or toolkit, let's say, instead of a war arsenal, let's call it a toolbox. But just like anything else, you should also have resumes. You should be networking. You should have I call it your story or an introduction that you use. You should have a portfolio if that's applicable for your area. You should have a bunch of tools that you use for different approaches and different ways to job search, because job search is hard. So I'm not promising that every one of you is going to find a job immediately if you go onto the system. What I am saying is it's a really good tool. And as we build it, I get more employers every week. I hope to get, we doubled the number of candidates on the system, but I can tell you last year we sent out, I don't know what the factor was. We had 1,200 invitations accepted, and I think we sent out 60,000. So I need way more candidates. That's my problem right now, not employers. But it was a great question. Any other questions? Oh, it's so quiet. Perhaps we can turn the recording off at this point, Rory. So if people have a question that they're not comfortable having it recorded,